we work together.
Yeah.
And you've seen our company evolve and change. You're a very integral part of what's been created at Sea Dog and Shipyard and Captain Eli's and a variety of other ventures.
What was interesting was I came in just doing design and helping on the marketing side. And I don't know if you remember this, but we were having a meeting one day at Sea Dog in South Portland. And you brought me into the meeting and you just asked me in front of everyone, what would you do? You know, we were talking about a space and you, what would you do? And I said, well, I think I'd do this. And I put the bar here and I just started telling you, were like, okay, well, let's do that. And I think everyone in the room was like, well, who the hell is this guy? But luckily, I mean, it did allow me to start trying some things. One of the best parts about working for you is that you are always coming up with ideas. In this business, especially when it changes so quickly and the trends change quickly, you gotta keep swinging.
Having a beer with Fred is really about getting to people's passion and what makes them tick. Having a beer and having honest, frank, clear conversation that inspires our audience is what it's about.
Robert, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah.
So this is normally with Beers and Fred, I'm talking to somebody who's got their own company or own band or own entrepreneurial venture. And what's unique is our relationship is we work together.
Yeah.
And you're a very integral part of what's been created at Sea Dog and Shipyard and Captain Eli's and a variety of other ventures, and kind of the secret sauce behind a lot of what gets done. But you have been an entrepreneur on your own. We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've worked together a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to believe, but I think I was thinking about it before I walked in here. You and I first met 2002.
2002.
Yeah. And I was doing work for one of your partner companies.
Yeah.
Started in 2002-ish and then worked till about 2007.
VisionTel.
Yeah.
Which was a company started, probably mid-90s, late 90s, mid-90s, and by three guys that had worked for Talk America, Rob Graham's company. It was
big entrepreneurs.
Very,
guys.
very.
Yeah.
Actually, I've talked to Rob a few times, and he's down in St. Pete, Florida, and actually he and I have talked a lot about entrepreneurship. But so that was just to give it a second. I'll let you name the three partners and give a quick.
All incredible guys.
Yeah.
Bobby Dahl, Dave Amato, and Michael McNamara.
Right.
And yeah, they were gunslingers. You know, they were killing that business and they were doing great. And
we could talk all show. We could talk. This whole show could be about the entrepreneurial journey that had, as those three guys are all great guys. Unfortunately, Dave Amato is no longer with us, and got hit with some things in life that steered off course. But when I first met those guys, I met Michael first, and he sold me a sign. He came in and said, he had gone to Chevrolet 10 years earlier, 10 years behind me, and so he knew, called up, said, basically leveraged our high school and said, I'd love to come meet you. And he had done a little work in real estate, and he had this sign, and it was a Shipyard sign that was made by a local artist. And I loved the way it looked old and authentic, but it was really new and with a mold and plaster. And he was, Mike's a very creative guy. And so long story short, we might have done 3,000 or 4,000 of those and shipped them all over the country. I see him, on people put them on eBay and things like that now. And that gentleman is actually down on the waterfront doing some artwork with lobsters still to this day and in the lobster business. And I ran into him to remind me of that. And then he introduced me to Bobby Dahl and all these guys. Bobby Dahl and Dave Amato went to high school together, and Cape Elizabeth grew up together. And both, I think to this day, Dave Amato had a business mind that he could do math and formulas and ideas in his brain without writing anything down, and he would nail it. And
Bobby too, best sales guy I've ever
Bobby
met.
was the sales guy.
Yeah, I mean he could sell anything. And
we got in a room one time, and there were four of us, and I said, listen, the biggest thing we have to do is not let anybody else in this room. We can't let wives, girlfriends, whatever, other outside. If we get in this room, come up with a decision and solve it, we'll survive and keep moving. And we had a great deal of success early. I think we invested $175,000. A partner of mine, Gordon Herchebis, and basically from that, within 8 months, we had that paid back. And then we had an acne product and a male vitality product, and things just went really well, really quick.
Yep.
And everybody, they made a lot of money quick, and over a 6-year period, we stayed very profitable, and then things got tough. And then things got difficult, and then things kind of fell apart over a period of another 5 years. And then we ultimately, after 11 years, had to shut the business down. But the best thing that came out of that was meeting you.
Well,
we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. There are a lot of good stories about that. I'll have to get, try to track down Mike and Bob and tell some of those at another time. But out of that, you used to do the ads, right? The direct response ads, creatively.
Yeah, exactly. I did anything that was sort of public-facing advertising, and we bought a lot of remnant advertising at the time, so that was sort of the...
And I love that, because you could quantify remnant space. Explain remnant space so people understand, our audience, what that is.
I mean, traditionally, advertising in radio and print especially, they would sell the blocks of ads out to all the advertisers, and there were always leftover spaces. Every week they weren't filled up. Depending on the publication and the timing and all that, and the season. And so there were great deals, and if you had a really savvy media buyer, they knew how to find those deals. They had great relationships with the publishers. And when the deals would come up, it was kind of like almost like an auction, and you would find your deal, and then we would very quickly have to turn ads over to get them back to the publisher.
Didn't we have like 800 numbers? And
oh, yeah.
It was good. So we could track. What I loved about it, you could track every market, every ad, determine what ad was working, what ad wasn't working, spend behind that. This was before the internet, really, before social media. And we really, social media just started to come about in the middle of it. But so we met. And when we shut that company down, you had a few jobs going at the same time.
I did, yeah. I mean, I started working for those guys as a consultant, and still ran my own business. I was had a design and sort of a marketing consulting business that I helped small businesses with, and then additionally, I had the great fortune to work for a big company in Boston that specialized in educational excursions for young people and old people. They sort of served all markets, but they sent people abroad on short stay trips. So it was like 14 to 21 day trips. And I did a lot of design for them, but through that process, I realized we were spending enormous amounts of money on photography. And I had studied photography in college, so I volunteered to be a photographer.
You saw a way to cut costs and make a difference at that time.
Yeah, and it was a huge benefit to me because I got to travel and I got to take pictures, which I love doing.
And they agreed to outsource you versus being an employee.
That's right.
Which is a decision for entrepreneurs, right? There's some companies that don't allow that at all, and then some companies are fully based on outsourcing. And we've done, and through my career, I've done a little bit more of it recently, where we take companies and try to plug them into spots. But early on, I basically wanted to totally control our marketing and sales and all of that. But so you were doing that, you're traveling. Remember when you came on board with us, you'd say, I got to leave for 3 weeks. I'm going to Spain, or I'm going to the Czech Republic, or wherever you were going.
It was hard to say no to those gigs. They would call me a week in advance and say, do you want to go to Africa for 2 weeks?
Right.
Like, yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I got to experience.
That was when your kids were young too, so
very young.
You're getting out of town.
Once the kids got a little older, that job became a lot harder.
It
was harder on my wife, just being gone for 3 or 4 weeks to do these jobs. And to be fair, I think the photography, and I trained in traditional photography, so we were slinging 400, 500 rolls of film and 6 cameras, and I had a crew with me, the whole thing. And once the iPhone came out and digital photography kind of revolutionized the business, it was very quick learning to kind of catch up and get good at that. And then once I did, I realized, oh wow, everyone is doing this.
Right.
And my skill set was no longer kind of needed like it was before. The iPhone has changed the game.
Yeah,
you can almost do whatever you want on it.
And you have to be ready, right? Like everybody's talking about AI, and I think that's going to change the game. Mm-hmm. But also how there'll always be other things, right? From that, they became your needs evolved. In a lot of ways, you're an artist, you're a photographer, you're a designer, you're a construction manager. Yeah. I mean, just talking about the job you have here.
Yeah, right.
And, but for us, I flash back to one of the conversations you and I had. I think we were driving somewhere, and we were talking about your dad.
Yeah.
And you were explaining to me that your dad created the platform shoe.
He did.
Tell us about that.
Yeah.
Because my dad at the time, that was a huge creative explosion, right?
Yeah, you would have loved interviewing my dad for this. He would be a better candidate for this interview because he was a true entrepreneur. He was one of the youngest CEOs in the shoe business, at 28 years old, because he created a platform shoe that kind of revolutionized the shoe fashion in the 70s.
Yeah.
And, it's those shoes you see in the funny 70s videos of and
Motor Booty Affair guys.
Yeah. He was tied in with all the rock bands.
Yeah.
And I think he worked with like Carlos Santana and
No
these guys
kidding.
to like.
Where were you living at the time? Were you alive then? No.
I was very, very young. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and then I eventually moved to Louisville, Kentucky. But he stayed in Atlanta and grew his business there. He was in the designer slacks business. He had a company. He started a company called Male Jeans.
Oh, no
were
kidding.
like a designer jeans company.
Very cool.
Very cool fashion at the time in denim, because denim was kind of, a business that was kind of blowing up.
And what was his full name?
Same as mine, Robert Cochran, yeah.
And were you the third or the second?
I'm the third, yeah.
No kidding. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So your dad would have been junior.
That's right.
And you're a third.
Yeah, but he was in the fashion business for a while, and then left that business to work as an administrator for a big law firm in Atlanta, and then left that business to start a restaurant. Was in the restaurant business for a while.
You must have been a little older then.
I was, yeah. I worked in the restaurants.
Did you?
Yeah, sure.
What kind of restaurant
Dishwashing. I cut my teeth dishwashing.
Oh, no way. Me too.
Yeah, I mean everyone should be a dishwasher.
Yeah,
there's not a person on the planet that.
It actually is one of my funner jobs. Till they told me I could get a break, and then when I got the break, it was always tougher to come back after the break. But I work But anyways, that's another story. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it's he had 2 restaurants that he ran in Atlanta that were super fun, successful.
What were the names of it?
It's called Chow.
Chow?
Yeah, Chow.
Was it in
Chow
Buckhead?
Downtown. One was in the Highlands in Atlanta, and one was in downtown.
So Atlanta's a funny market to me. I've never really warmed up to Atlanta. I have a cousin, Paul Syak, and his son is Nick Syak. He's known as Trader Nick on the YouTube videos. And they love Atlanta and stayed in Atlanta. And this guy from Massachusetts went down there and did well. And at a company called Atlanta Technical Support. But Atlanta is just a hub for growing businesses, right?
Sure is, yeah.
Yeah. And I've had some fun in Atlanta. But
it's a great city. It was fun growing up there. I eventually spent most of my high school years in Louisville, Kentucky. So a little different, but still Southern.
But you caught the creativeness. You enough time with your dad to catch that gene, which is, I mean, one of the coolest things. We've done a lot of cool things as you've built out the Sea Dogs, was the cap idea you did for South Portland, where you got your kids as volunteers or volunteer labor or whatever it might have, however you want to build basically a picture. What would you call that?
I think it was a painting essentially a mosaic made of bottle caps.
Bottle caps, and we have a little thing on how many bottle caps are there.
Yeah.
People can guess it, but everybody loves that one. And then, you've done pretty much something creative and unique at each Sea Dog, and we've.
I think that's what sets them apart.
Right.
Hopefully, that's what sets them apart. Kind of create something unique at each place.
Well, and we've created some unique places that haven't always made it. And those are the painful ones, right? It's like when Tom Brady talks about Super Bowls, he still wishes he won that Giants to one, and he wins all these Super Bowls, and it's still the ones he didn't have that come to mind, right? So some of the ones you did an amazing job with the bowling alley we had in South Portland, Maine, and very unique things that we did there, and we did the. Next to Rollins College in Winter Park, you had the Shipyard Emporium, which still kills me to this day. We didn't.
Well, I think that was truly what was interesting about how some of the work I started doing for you really got liftoff. Was I came in just doing design and helping on the marketing side, and I don't know if you remember this, but we were having a meeting one day at Sea Dog in South Portland. It wasn't Sea Dog yet, but it was beginning.
Oh, okay, it was expectations saying,
And you brought me into the meeting and you just asked me in front of everyone, what would you do? We were talking about a space and you, what would you do? And I said, well, I think I'd do this. And I put the bar here and I just started telling you, were like, okay, well, let's do that. And I think everyone in the room was like, well, who the hell is this guy?
No.
But luckily, I mean, it did allow me to start trying some things. I had worked for architecture firms in the past, and I've worked a little bit all over in advertising agencies and everything that sort of touches artwork creatively and how it presents in front of people. And so I think for me it was just like, it's just like a piece of paper. It's just a three-dimensional version of it.
So right here we're sitting in the tasting room at Shipyard at 27 Hancock Street, we started, our address was 86 Newbury Street, corner of Newbury and Hancock in Portland, Maine, USA. And it's a special place, and the room we're in has been here since 94, and there are a lot of things that have happened literally on this stage and in this room. After 9/11, we had a company meeting here. I got interviewed by some people that are no longer with us that flash back in my mind here. We've had press conferences here. You've been a big part of a lot of it. You've seen our company evolve and change, and there've been some dark moments and some great moments, because the beer business is challenging, right? It's great at sometimes, and especially right now, people are being tested in the beer business, and I want to thank you for hanging in there with us, because there have been some times that I flash back to the time you were concerned about the back exit of the building, and we were in the middle of renovation. We're building a 6-story building at the back of the tasting room, which is probably, I would say, 50 yards, 60 yards from here, behind us here. And there's a big opening there, and you go, we don't have an exit. We got to have an exit. There's a Robert, this fucking whole place is an exit. And he says, but there's no stairs. I mean, the point of it is get the hell out of the building, right? You could definitely get out of the building. But long story short, when you're going through renovations and construction, you have to be creative, not only in the design, but in the process of moving forward, working with the town. And you've done a lot of that. You've done a lot of that with the city of Portland, Scarborough, in Florida, Treasure Island. And it takes a team. It takes the designer, and sometimes you have to, like in the sense of what we built here, 180,000, let's say it's close to 190,000 square feet of space. The hotel built their own. We had 360 cars. I mean, you need a major structural engineer, architects, everything else. Smaller designs, like what we just did we just are completing in Scarborough, Maine. We put a little bump out add-on. You were able to do about 90% of that, right? We did have to bring in an engineer and make sure the roof was good and everything else. But to me, that's a huge benefit, right? Because one, whenever when you got to get it done, you got to get it done quickly. But how do you feel when you look at a job? At what point do you say, all right, it's just, I throw
my head. Well, I think I've always assumed I can do it first, which is sometimes a mistake.
Yeah.
But really almost anything that gets presented to me, I'm always like, I'm sure we can figure it out. If someone else can do it, I know we can figure it out ourselves internally. If the project gets too big and expensive, then that's where it's like, maybe we're wasting our time spinning our wheels on it.
Yeah, so you have to weigh it out.
Exactly.
Have to weigh it out.
Exactly.
I think that's something in our entrepreneurship is having people around you that can say, okay, wait a minute, this might be a little more expensive than we think. this might be a bigger process. There are other things, licensing, other complications on timing. I like to say, there's 3 or 4 things in business. Timing is one big one. Location, location, location. Like you can build a restaurant anywhere. Do you put it in, a northern Maine town, or do you put it in, Andover, Mass? So where do you put it? We're at an interesting spot in the company right now. So, but for you, and you're wearing all these different hats, one of the major things literally is wearing a shirt, for example, and wearing a hat. Like you're wearing a shirt right now today that if somebody looks at it very closely, look at how creative that is, right? So when you look at that shirt, you probably think, okay, maybe I had Liz design this. Maybe I had,
maybe I drew it.
Maybe you drew it. But that's your point though.
Yeah.
Once you do that, you've created something that's very unique, and it's yours. You built it. So, I mean, you put your stamp on it for the betterment of the whole company. But I'm looking down at something here, which is really, something that you kind of have. Why don't you explain this? Because that's really a side benefit that we've allowed. Together we're working, but that's your baby.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think,
That's,
artwork's a funny thing. I think it's you do it because you love it. You don't necessarily do it to make money.
Right.
But
you might someday. It may turn into something.
But it kind of is always an itch that you have to scratch.
Right.
I have the benefit of working for you, where you need a lot of design all the time, and sometimes it's just as simple as let's come up with a fun T-shirt.
Yeah.
Other times it's a little more complex. But for me, I've always liked to think I had a side hustle that would allow me to be creative.
Yep.
And worst case version, I always have something I can do in my back pocket if I ever wanted to do something.
Right.
And I think,
and you can do the posters and there's some very unique things that people look at. And I've been in Florida before, and you created some stuff around Tampa Bay, with Barney overlooking the Skyway Bridge, and people look at it and go, wow, that's cool, and it just kind of shows the uniqueness. And then, like, here are some wearables, like this one, the good dog, bad dog one is classic, right? It's like, and then the bad dog. But you when you look at each of these, you put your stamp and evolved them, some more than others, right? Like I can tell this one's probably, I haven't even seen this one yet.
that's the new Pumpkinhead shirt. Yeah, Liz did that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So,
Liz is a great designer, and
how do people buy these? What's the quickest way?
The
other than
easiest
coming
way
to the store.
Easiest way is through the website at shipyard.com.
Shipyard.com, yeah.
And seadog.com as well. But I think that's
These new hats are pretty cool,
yeah,
too.
new hats. Every season we try to develop some new things that are
unique.
kind of little Captain Eli's.
Yeah.
But yeah, something unique. And Pumpkinhead's the big one, of course, and it probably drives the most excitement for all the things we create. But for us, this is the fun stuff, getting to work on
when you just
merchandise.
hit it, right, Pumpkinhead's the biggest thing, which is crazy. Pumpkinhead's a gift from the gods, or somehow we got fortunate enough to, and you created this character, Pumpkinhead Pete. Was that all your idea, or who else weighed in on that one? I didn't create that one. I won't take ownership of that. I know we made some suits before, but Barney was one of the suits for Sea Dog. And I have some funny stories about Barney, but Pumpkinhead Pete, we've had some stories and some videos and some. He's taken on a life of his own.
He's an incredible
He's
character.
been to weddings. He's been to reveal parties. They're looking for him.
I don't know if we knew what we were creating at the time. He's very fun, and people love him. And I think genuinely people love the beer first, and he's just a kind of a fun little side piece that makes it even
Would you
funnier.
call him a mascot, or what would you call him?
No, I think he's just a lovable employee of Shipyard Brewing Company.
Yeah. Well, he traveled the world, right? He went with Ronnie Simpson all around the globe, and he's a good luck charm to a degree. But of course, Ronnie demastered off the coast of Buenos Aires. I don't know if he's going to blame
I don't know
them.
if he had him with him.
Probably.
Maybe he needed the good luck for that.
Yeah, life goes fast. But when you've got a team now, what's funny is Liz Robinson is a very creative young woman, and she is really kind of unique, right? So the funny story with Liz is, I got to meet her. She worked very close with you. She's doing a great job for almost 2 or 3 years. And then I'm sitting at $3 Dewey's in Portland, Maine, and all of a sudden, Jane Monahan comes walking around the corner, and now, of course, it's Jane Monahan Robinson, and she comes up, Fred, we went to high school. We didn't go to high school together, but we all used to party together. And and then all of a sudden, Liz is right behind her, and she goes, hi, Fred. And I said, Liz, what are you doing? And I'm with my mom. I said, are you kidding me? You've known this long. I know that you know this whole relationship, and you never mentioned it once, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
I think back to the time she says, yeah, my mom and dad sail around, they sometimes sail. I don't know if they should sail around the world, but which is so funny because you just
it is a small world. Well, it's especially a small world with you because so many people.
But Jane is actually wasn't involved in designing this shirt, but for many years did the Peaks Island shirt. I'm not even sure the artist that did this one, but this is we sponsor this road race out on Peaks every year. It goes around the Peaks Island road race every year and do a different shirt. So Liz's mom, Jane, had done that shirt because Kim Goodwin, her good friend in high schools, was associated with the race. And so anyways, it's never a dull moment when these things kind of happen. I won't digress. But when we look at things like this hat right here, and you think about, okay, well, Fred got involved in another thing. This came from a woman, Carissa, who is a EMT, I think, and had a connection to Gray, Maine, or New Gloucester. And she said, would you be interested in getting involved in she came during the Boys and Girls Club race, so we had an after party, and she mentioned she was getting involved to Tunnels to Tower, which I knew a little bit about, had heard a little bit about, but didn't know a lot about it. But then really your team and your people and then our people together kind of push it out, and we see if we can impact something, grow something. And we did that, I think, with the Boys and Girls Club. I think we added 50 to 100 runners, and we want to double that again, and then hopefully we'll help bring a lot of attention to this. And that's kind of my goal, and you execute that very well with the team, and we keep doing it. But when you think of nonprofits that we've gotten involved in or you want to get involved in, what rings in your mind or what's close to your thought process or heart to get behind?
Yeah, well, I think we're always trying to solve the puzzle for the brand, where we want to be and where the best eyeballs are for the branding. And the good thing about beer is that it's social and it's fun.
Yeah.
And so when I think about sponsoring things that help the brand along, it's where are the events where people are going to be celebrating a celebratory. A post-race is a perfect example. People are so thrilled to get through a 6-mile race or a half marathon. And it's a real true celebration at that moment. And to have a beer that kind of represents that, or at least is part of that celebration with them, is important for us because, people are smiling and enjoying it. There's like real joy in that moment. Yeah. And so I like to think of those types of things as often as we can. Now, there's a whole other side of the business that you're especially good at, which is just the charitable side, where you want to help people and be. I can't even list the amount of charitable donations that we've done and that we've played with. But
beer's a great contributor to being able to leverage. Like, you can donate a keg of beer, and you basically will be like donating $600 or $700 or $800 versus the cost of that, because they changed the law in the state of Maine where you can donate to nonprofits product, which has been a big benefit. Mm-hmm. And obviously we do a lot with gift cards, and we have gotten behind things that some people have been affected by, that either friends or people in the company. But what's been your favorite? We used to do the Trails to Ale, and we got kind of pushed out of that one. But
I love the Beach to Beacon because it runs through my backyard.
Right.
And I'm a big fan of Joni, and they're doing such a cool event.
Amazing, right? 27 years we've been doing that.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
We recently on Stream State, Rory's venture that we've gotten involved in, that you've helped a great deal with. On Stream State, you can go to a story through the Maine Historical Society that's posted there about Joni. And it's truthfully one of the, what's nice is it goes back in her history, her family's history, and really opens up things that I didn't even know. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many incredible events in Maine. It's one of the best parts about living here is there's always something great, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
But I think that's the trick, with a brand like Shipyard, is aligning with people that are celebrating and having, it's about building a community and being in that moment with the community that is special.
Yeah.
And so events do that.
This year was so cool because I had to be away in Florida, and I was able through Breeze to fly back first thing in the morning, 6:30, and I got flying over Cape Elizabeth, a beautiful sunny day, and I literally could see the race finishing in our tent and people going to the tent.
Incredible.
So I landed, got an Uber, got over to the tent just as everybody was starting to really have a good time, and it was so fun. I missed Joni that day, but I'm trying to get an interview with her hopefully some point. So I mean, it's fun because we've had a lot of fun and we enjoy it. You are very passionate. We went through some dark moments, I would say, and you hung in there, and I appreciate it. Financially, companies go through ebbs and flows, and I think for your talent level, some things are priceless, right? But the thing that we had moments where financially there were pretty tough times not so long ago, and you and others delayed pay raises and held off and understood kind of what we were going through. And it was even in a time before COVID, because our business in the beer business shifted, right? We went from having maybe 300 or 400 competitors to having 7,000 competitors, and then there were other strains that we had on the business we needed to shift from bottles to cans, and there was competition headwinds and other things, and now we've evolved and our model is stronger, and we've got now an ability to grow, but it's still tough because you've got a time where people are adjusting and really not drinking as much beer and not drinking as much in general. And then there's a shift to non-alcs. I'm drinking the Climb mushroom energy drink that we're doing. Gives me a little bit of energy. And oftentimes that I'll I love all the stuff we're doing right now for new things. That being said, I still love a Shipyard Export Ale but when I'll say to you, okay, let's come up with a label, let's come up with an idea, and you'll bang it around with Liz, or you'll create your own idea. What do you get most excited about when I say that to you? Or what do you go, oh shit, he's got another stupid idea? Or okay.
No, I don't think they're stupid.
How does that'll work, Fred?
I think honestly, Fred, one of the best parts about working for you is that you are always coming up with ideas. I mean, it's just an endless river of ideas and entrepreneurial kind of spirit, and that's a good thing. I think it keeps you innovating, and it keeps everyone kind of thinking for the next thing. You have to be. You would be crazy not to be incredibly flexible in business, and I think in this business, especially when it changes so quickly and the trends change quickly, and I think you just have to constantly trying to be thinking, what's the next thing and how do we experiment with it? And, design-wise, that makes it fun because we get to be creative and we get to spin our wheels. And, sometimes they end up on the cutting room floor or end up in spaces that don't work, but that's part of it, You just got to keep swinging.
Yeah. Good. Well, cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
We'll talk more in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Anybody have any questions, email me at fforsley@shipyard.com. And one of the things we're going to do in the future is talk more with customers and also people that have entrepreneurial questions or interest. But I want to thank one of our sponsors, Cross Insurance, which is our insurance company. But I just want to thank Cross Insurance for being a great partner. I would advise people to check them out. If you're not with Cross, give them an opportunity to bid your insurance because they've been very good to me for many years. Jonathan Cross and his whole family are family-owned main business that literally insure businesses throughout the country, and it's worth giving them an opportunity because they do care and they are on it and they do respond. So here's to Cross Insurance. Cheers. And I just wanted to give them a plug and also look forward to having other people who want to be involved and sponsor Having a Beer with Fred because it's fun. Cheers.